Hello and welcome to John's story time. Not story hour, I hope it's not going to be that. Anyway, a little story about me. Let's go back to 1999. Just marriage is over. My missus has left me for another missus, or yeah, left me for Hello and welcome to John's story time. Let's go back to 1999 and what I was doing then. My missus had left me for another woman. I had a Kane, 6-year-old lad. I was one of these straight edges. I was straight edge, didn't drink, never drunk alcohol in my teenage years or all the way through the 20s. I was one of them straight edge. Never had the X on my hand, but was a straight edger. So when 1999 came along and I was living on my own and I started drinking a little bit. And I thought, oh, a little bit of drink is alright. I was kind of changing a little bit. I don't know. I was kind of changing but lost a little bit. Now, when I was a teenager and into the 20s, I was always into punk and hardcore, and well, more towards the end of the 90s, probably more sort of alternative stuff. A little bit of grunge, but only a little bit, mind you. But that's about it, really. And for some reason in 99 or whatever, I must have started to get into a little bit of sort of dance music. You know, that played in clubs. Didn't know anything about dance music. I've never been into it. But me and my brother started sort of going out in town. Sort of like, you know what I mean, two lads about, you know what I mean, on the pull kind of thing. And I'd never done that before. I'd never been out in that situation where you're in a pub or a club and you're trying to be all, you know, confident and all that and having a crack and one thing and another. So we did a bit, quite enjoyed it actually, a new environment, you know what I mean, for me, sort of being in pubs. And then we started going in clubs when the pub shut at 11 o'clock. And then there was a nightclub in Lancaster where I lived at the time. I don't know what it was called, Liquid or something stupid like that, and we sort of like started going in there a little bit, and I got a little bit more into dance music. But pogoing and sort of like dancing to dance music is a totally different thing, you know what I mean? So yeah, I did the usual kind of like started nodding my head a little bit and sort of like doing this a little bit dad dancing. And then it sort of like kind of got into a bit better at it. You know, when you're in a big crowd and the big bass line and all that carry on, it doesn't matter what bloody shapes you pull in. But anyway, so I got quite into it. And then, can't explain this one really. So the nightclub had a big flat area and it had these two podiums. So the podiums were like made of checker plate, I think aluminium checker plate, so they looked all kind of like trendy. I think they're about, no, quite a metre squared by about, not quite a metre high, maybe 700 mil high, sort of. There was two of them. There was like a doorway and two podiums there. And people used to get up and dance and whatnot, and, you know, and I used to watch this. And then, I don't know whether I had too many drinks or whatever, but one night I thought I'm going to have a go at dancing on the podium. Obviously, when you're on the podium, everybody sees you. You're sort of like, you know, I don't know, sort of like knee height, sort of like above everybody else. So I got on the podium and started just doing what I did on the normal dance floor. Anyway, this is going to be hard to explain. And so, a little bit of a recap. No idea how to bloody dance. Never danced before in my life. Ever. Well, apart from pogoing and, you know what I mean, slam dancing and all that carry on. So, I kind of like, you know, learnt a bit about watching people how they did it. And then, when I got on the podium, in my head, my weird, random head, I kind of thought, oh, well, I'll take the music as like a base, as sort of like something to, well, you know what I mean, it's nothing new, but when I looked across the dance floor, the music seemed to be coming towards me, and the big bass beats had come towards me. It was like a bloody video game. So I knew exactly where they were going and were coming from, and there was like other bits coming in and out, and I was just kind of like moving my body, kind of like to these. They seemed like images across the dance floor. So I'm just kind of like making shit up, and I'm all over the place. So God knows what it actually looked like. When I started doing it, people would look up in horror, really, about what the bloody hell's that guy doing? It must have looked very, 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 very bizarre. But after doing it a little bit, I don't know, I had a little crowd around me, and some of them looking still in horror, but some of them, well, probably most in horror, but just like mesmerised by my crazy dancing on the podium. An old punk who'd never been sort of like very green and still quite sort of like insecure and whatnot, in a podium in a nightclub, doing a crazy one-off dance, just what happened, don't know, the music, whatever, and then I've got a little crowd of people around me, and it was just madness. Buzzing about it, absolutely buzzing. It was just a crazy little moment and a crazy little story I just wanted to tell you about a crazy time, 1999, 2000, where I was a podium dancer. I remember one time I was up there doing my moves and had my little fan club around me, and I kind of jumped. I was getting a bit tired, and I sort of jumped down. And this girl goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm gonna go. I need to go and get a drink." She said, "You're not going to be long here." I said, "No, I'll be back right at it." And that's honest truth. And the top of the podium, this is the, you know what I mean. I think this is the skateboard element coming in for me, really. The top of the podium was aluminium checker plate, and everyone would put the drinks on the corners, and you know what the crack is. And then some of them would get spilt. So it's very slick on top of the podium. And it was just, I'm doing all my moves, and I could skirt with my toes right to the edge, and it was wet checker plate. Blew my neck, I had some moves then. Anyway, so that's my story of the podium. Okay, see you next time on Story Time.